This episode is sponsored by Medicine Based Beauty, where beauty is backed by science. Hey guys, Alex here. I just want to quickly tell you about some upcoming events. So, CNY Women's Network events, January. Here we go. We are going to be doing a fit and social event with Spoke Cycle on January 18th at 9 a.m. It's going to be a little collab event. Members of the Collective by CNY Women's Network get to go for free, but we are opening this up to our whole audience. So if you want to network in a different way, attend this event. If you like Spoke Cycle, if you like cycling, if you like working out, attend this event. We're going to be doing a cycling class, and then we're going to be doing a little social hour sponsored by Project Lean Nation. We're going to have some juice shots, protein bars, light refreshments, trying to get some coffee there. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Okay, so next up, we have some in-person coworking sessions happening at Commonspace. We've been doing in-person coworking sessions since March, but we decided we're going to open this up to our whole audience. So before it was just for our members, but we're going to invite everybody to come. Why not, right? The more the merrier. More is more. I love co-working. I don't know about you, but working from home is sometimes just not it. So it's really nice to just get dressed up, go somewhere where everybody is kind of in the same mindset and, tackle that to-do list. I'm always so much more productive at co-working. Last but not least, we're going to be doing a coffee meetup on January 25th. We still have a few more details to pin down before this event is live, but I do know that we're going to be collaborating with Anna Gill of Anna Gill Studios. She's going to be popping up and offering some special headshot packages. This is going to be, we're going to call it the New Year, New You networking event. So it should be really fun. It's going to be free to attend. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, here are a few events on our radar. These are events that we are not hosting, but we highly recommend. First up is the Ascend and Elevate Retreat, hosted by Root to Rise CNY. This is going to be happening at Vanderkamp in Cleveland, New York on January 17th through the 19th. This retreat is going to be incredible. I had a chance to sit down with the hosts of this retreat last week to hear all about it. If you are looking for a reason to walk into 2025 feeling like your highest self, we actually worked out a special deal for you guys. So go to the show notes, click the link, and use the code Cultivate CNY for $200 off. And now we can start the show. Hi guys, welcome back to Cultivate CNY. I'm your host, Alex Canavan, and I am so excited about this week's guest. She has such a unique life story, and I think you guys are going to love this episode. She's a certified holistic health coach as well as a certified life coach. She's also a content creator specializing in user-generated content, otherwise known as UGC. In this episode, we talk about health and life coaching, user-generated content, and how she has thrived in content creation. Let's welcome Elena Bombardier to Cultivate CNY. Elena, welcome to Cultivate CNY.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, quickly introduce yourself, tell people who you are and what you're about.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Elena, as Alex mentioned. I am a certified life and health coach, and I also do content creation. I've been coaching for close to 8 years now, I think, 7-ish or so. And did health coaching for most of my coaching time, and then added in life coaching over the past couple years. And then over the past year, I have been doing a lot of content creation that mixes in some of my coaching work, but then also some of it doesn't. So it's been really fun.
How did you get into coaching? What led you to that?
Yeah. So a lot of coaches kind of start coaching because they went through their own journey or struggles or experiences that they overcame or figured something out or learned something and wanted to help other people. And that's exactly how it was with me. So for me, I started off with the health coaching and really health and weight loss coaching because I struggled with my own weight for most of my life. And really, it was struggling with weight, but it was also struggling a lot with confidence and just having value in myself and self-worth. And now I know that. I didn't know that back then. And it started really when I was in middle school and went on when I was in high school and college. I had a lot of disordered eating patterns. I was a binge eater, overeater, emotional eater, and really it was just a struggle for me for a really long time. And then I started to figure out some things that helped with that. Part of it was going to therapy and learning the tools of coaching. Other parts of it were really just deciding, okay, let's approach this from a place of self-care versus just trying to get to a number on a scale. And once I started to figure a lot of those things out and put them together, there were a lot of things that didn't work, but then I found some things that did. I started talking about it on social media, as a lot of us do, and created an Instagram page. It was a ways back now. Instagram wasn't even nearly what it is now when I started. And people just started to ask me questions and reach out and want help with things they were struggling with. And it really just stemmed from there. And from putting those practices into place, I should say, for myself, I was not only able to lose the weight I had wanted to lose, but do it in a really healthy and sustainable way, in a way that really felt good, and also overcome a lot of those issues that I had had when I was in like high school and college with, binge eating. And then as I started sharing those things and people reaching out, I was like, okay, I want to do more of this. I want to be able to help people with this. So I got certified first as a personal trainer. Then I added in health coaching, and then I added in life coaching, like I said, over the past couple of years. So yeah, it was just kind of a natural progression, I would say.
You kind of just already started doing coaching and then you're like, "Oh, I should probably make a business out of this. I'm already giving all this great advice."
Exactly, exactly, and I did it for a little bit without, being certified, but I'm like, I just wanted to go that extra mile and get that extra kind of experience and expertise and knowledge so I could really help people in a truly holistic way, even with things I hadn't experienced. And that it has been super helpful having the experience, but then there's always additional knowledge and information that is helpful to have. So then I was able to bring that to the table too. So
When I first met you, you really were like marketing yourself as like a health coach, but really a lot of what you do is mindset. And I mean, that's half I mean, I would probably say that's probably 90% of the battle
oh,
with
it's 90
weight loss.
90%. Yeah, literally, like, the specifics around nutrition and, like, I always say you can download a workout plan, you can download an eating plan any day of the week for free sometimes or pay, minimal amount of money, but can you follow it? Can you follow it, and can you do it in a way that feels good? That is the hard part, and that's where the mind it's all so much of a mind game. So, yeah, it's 90% is mindset and the way you're thinking about it because that drives everything else. And that's what we work through when I was doing one-on-one coaching, and now I just teach a lot of the tools and concepts, but when you learn those things and you practice them, you're developing new skills that you can apply in any area of life, which is the really cool piece. Because something I didn't mention too was a couple years back, I was approached by a company in Atlanta who hires coaches to help law firm owners, actually business owners. So I did business coaching for them for a couple years, in addition to doing some health and life coaching there too. And my point with this, in saying this, is I was able to use so many of the tools and strategies and techniques from the other world of coaching with the business owners too, to help them grow their businesses, because so much of it applies to, different areas of life that you're working on. So because like you said, it's so much mindset versus the tactics. Like that's such a small piece of it.
You do have this very grounded and like disciplined sort of demeanor and energy to you, but it's really interesting to hear that it wasn't always the case. I mean, I know like the very start of this journey, you say it was middle school, but you definitely didn't identify as like as a disciplined person.
Absolutely not, absolutely not. And it's funny because I always say, like, my mom will say to me all the time, like, "Oh, I wish I could just be like you, more disciplined, more consistent." And I'm like, "Mom, like, you know more than anyone. The majority of my life, I was not like this." Like, I literally got fired from a restaurant, I would say the name, for not showing up for my shifts, like literally sleeping through all my shifts. Like I almost didn't make it through college because I didn't go to my classes. Like I was definitely so much of my life was not like this. It is a skill, it is something, it is a practice, it is a habit you can absolutely develop if you truly want to and you have, the right steps to follow to get there. So, yeah, I was 100% not always like this. No.
And I love that you say, like, it is a process and it doesn't matter who you are, maybe how old you are, you can always change and become that, more disciplined, accountable version of yourself that,
100%.
all of us wish we could be sometimes. So, what are some of the biggest mindset shifts you definitely have honed, but probably practice now that you do honor your boundaries and show up for yourself consistently?
Yeah. So I don't know if this is a mindset shift, but I would say one that's really huge in all areas is just having really clear priorities for yourself. And also, of course, boundaries goes with that too, but knowing like what you want and not being afraid to say no to things that you don't. And that all starts with, having the confidence and really valuing yourself to be able to do that. Because if we don't, we're not going to be able to we're not going to put ourselves number one on the priority list, but then we're also not going to say no to other things that don't align. So I think like building that piece up, like really it's the belief in yourself, having that self-confidence has been hugely helpful. And yes, that applies to your health journey, but also even things in business like networking. If you feel good about yourself and you continuously build yourself up, you can go into a room with 100 people you don't know, and yeah, it might be awkward, but you're going to be fine regardless if you talk to 1 people, 50 people or no people. You're going to walk out and you're still going to have that pride and like confidence that you walked in with if you can give that to yourself. So I think that's been something that I've done a ton of work on. But then the other thing, mindset shift. So again, I don't know if I would call this a mindset shift, but developing the skill of, like, feeling feelings. I know this sounds crazy, but this is something I learned back when I was in therapy, and it was actually, like, really the root of why I was doing a lot of my emotional and overeating and all of those things, and it was called out to me when I was in a session and was talking about, like, eating because I was stressed or something like that, and, the therapist had said to me, "Well, why don't you just sit there and feel the stress and, like, let the emotion process through, and then you either won't need to eat or you get to choose if you eat." And I was just like, what? Like, mind blown by that concept. We can actually just feel stress, like we're not gonna die, we can handle that. And it was I at the time was, I don't know, in my maybe early 20s and was just like, it just really changed so many things for me, and it sounds so simple, but most of us aren't doing that. Like, we feel a feeling, we don't like it, we go and we grab something to eat, we go to grab a drink, we go to shop, and that's okay if it's an intentional decision, but I think just the idea of knowing we don't have to do that, that we get to choose if we can develop that skill of processing through an emotion, and, there's a variety of ways to do it, that then we can also work more towards our goals without being afraid of how we're gonna feel too. So that just really changed so much for me on the eating side and the health, but also when it comes to business and even something as simple as I said, like networking. Okay, I'm gonna feel awkward when I go in, but I'm okay feeling awkward. So I'll go to a networking event after networking event and it's gonna be fine. So I feel like those were two big things. And I'll probably think of others as we're talking too, because there's so many.
That's a great point because I think some of us might even convince ourselves that we don't do that. We don't reach for something or distract ourselves or numb ourselves with something, especially if that thing that we reach for might seem productive, or just like obviously the notion of procrastination. It's like I'm going to put off this project that has been really stressing me out, but at least I'm cleaning the whole house like top to bottom. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we all find ways to kind of escape that stress, but if someone's listening right now and is aware that they do this too, but maybe they grew up in a family dynamic that didn't really support them having emotions, because I think that's actually very common. And that's a reason why we all are struggling with addictions and tendencies to dissociate, right? So what are some of the ways that you acknowledge and feel those feelings so you can get past that?
Really kind of at a high level, it's like stepping into the feeling of it versus trying to get away from it. But usually in coaching, like there's a kind of a process that we go through and it's like labeling it. That's what you can start with. Like, I am feeling anxious right now. Like, this is anxiety and that's okay. And I don't know why I like envision myself in my car because I feel like a lot of the times I get like these strong emotions in my car for whatever reason, but it happens all over the place. But it's like being kind of slowing yourself down and stopping for a second and acknowledging that you're having a feeling, whether that's, okay, I'm feeling stressed right now, and just like breathing into it. And then there's a practice that we do in coaching that's like, how can you describe it to yourself as if you were describing the feeling to like an alien? So it's like, okay, where is it in your body? How does it feel? Is there a shape to it? Is there a color to it? And really just like, it sounds so silly, but like getting to know the emotion, even though it's uncomfortable, like just feeling that feeling. And then slowly, if you do that long enough, it does start to dissipate. It does start to reduce. It does start to lessen. And I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I do this with her. And like, I see a big difference when she's in the the headspace that I can actually do it. It's hard with an 8-year-old, but I do see a difference when I try to work through with her, like, especially when she's scared. Sometimes that's a good time to do it versus like angry. It's very hard then with an 8-year-old, but she can actually, like, you can see like her body just lose some of the tension, like relax a little bit. And that it's the same thing like we can do with ourselves. And it's really just like I said, like labeling it, identifying where is it, how can you describe it, and sitting with it long enough, let that discomfort be there, and then eventually it does lessen and it can, go away eventually, or maybe it's just there a little bit less. The other thing you can do is like journaling is really good too, like kind of describing what's going on, like what are it's always our thoughts that's leading to a feeling. So what are we thinking about the things that are on around us that is causing this feeling for us? And sometimes just that awareness alone of what the thinking is can already help us to feel better. And then also, if it's a stressor that we can eliminate, sometimes there are some, and we're just not slowing down to even think about it or modify or change, we can do that. But then if we're not able to, there's also things we can do, on our own, like I talked about the journaling or just sitting through it, processing through it too. So,
I think, like, labeling it and just calling it out kind of removes the power
yes,
that it might have over you. It doesn't take away maybe the physical sensation yet,
right.
right? But I think, yeah, that relief. I'm not being chased by a tiger, I'm just
Exactly.
anxious, and it's totally natural to be anxious about this because, yeah, that's what I try to do with myself, at least.
Yeah.
I try to reassure myself that anybody else would feel the same way. So there's nothing wrong with you.
Right. It's part of part of our human experience, and we have some of those feelings because we are wired to like prepare for danger. Like that is literally our brain is wired that way. So we sometimes perceive things as dangerous that aren't really dangerous. Like, nowadays we're not keeping ourselves away from like wild animals and things like people were at one time. So like for us it could be who even knows. Like sometimes, Starbucks not having our coffee, we feel like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm going to die." Like things like that. And then we start to feel these feelings of stress, but it's not really necessary, even sometimes, too. So it's like just being aware of all of that.
Can you talk about how that does wreak havoc on your health overall?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're putting yourself in a stressful headspace, you're going to feel the symptoms of stress. And then that can also impact so many other things. If your body is fighting for its life, that's what it thinks it's doing when it's in a state of stress. It's not working on any other functions that it needs to run every day. It's not your reproductive health isn't going to be as good. Your digestive health isn't going to be as good. We've heard before, like, people have digestive issues when they're chronically stressed. Well, that's why, because your digestive system is like taking a back seat to your body trying to fight for its life, even though we're really not. But it's because, like you had said, sometimes we're in this habitual thinking that it thinks that it is. So that is, it's focusing on that and then not focusing on your digestion, your possibly reproductive health, your, rest and relax, like you're sleeping. Your sleep is all messed up. So of course that's going to wreak havoc on every single thing. Your mental clarity, your focus, it's all going to be affected. Your hormones, everything because of if we're in a chronically stressed situation. So that's where it's just so important to just be aware of it and kind of know what's going on and slow ourselves down and just make sure, like, are we going down the right path that we want to be? And if we're not, how can we, like, reevaluate and adjust and put ourselves back closer to where we want to be?
Those moments of maybe fear or anxiety are opportunities to reflect.
Absolutely.
Maybe some of us, especially if you are used to this constant stress and anxiety and fear and just never feeling really safe, maybe you do have a true belief that this is just how life is and this is how it is for you.
Yeah.
And there's
And
not something wrong with that, but there is.
exactly. And for most of us, it's even that awareness that, like, you could question it. Most of us just have these habitual beliefs, these thoughts, which beliefs are just thoughts on repeat that we then believe that we don't even know that we can question. And you can question any thought or belief and just decide it may even feel true, but is it benefiting you? That is like the biggest thing that I always say to people because they're like, well, it's true. And it's like, okay, great. But is it benefiting you to continuously think that? Because if it's not, let's just put it in like the back seat and let it be there. But we don't have to continuously repeat it and bring it up every day, which may be leading to those feelings of fear or anxiety that many times is holding us back in life, in our health and in our life, and many times in our business too. So, yeah, the awareness on its own is huge, and then the questioning of it like, "Okay, and what? And now what? What do I wanna do with this since I know it's here following me around?" And in coaching, what we do is then we start to break it down. We ask, you have this thought, maybe a limiting belief, we'll just say, of some sort, that's causing you a feeling that's not helping you be as productive in your life. And we want to like poke holes in it. Okay, well, what if the opposite were true? Or like, how is this not true in your life? Like, and start to break it down. So then eventually your mind starts to shift where it's like, maybe it is possible that, whatever it is.
Let's shift into UGC, user generated content. For those who don't know, I don't think people realize that this is a very, very lucrative industry right now. Maybe because there's just not a lot of information. or I don't know, maybe I think in a way some people even gatekeep information around this sort of influencer economy.
Yeah.
And so tell us how you even got started, how you
Mhm.
started working with other brands and where it's going right now for you.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, how I started doing it was I had been creating content, like I'd shared before, for my health and life coaching business for so many years. And over the years, I had had a few brands reach out and say, "Oh, hey, do you want to collaborate? Do you want to partner on this?" It started off where they'd send me free product, and then I had done some paid deals. And at the beginning of this year, I was like, you know what? I really like that. I like talking, I like teaching. And I'm like, maybe I could do some more content creation like I had done before. So I put some intentional effort into, finding some additional opportunities and brands and things like that to work with. And it just really it went from there. And now I do about 75% content creation and like 25% coaching. But some of it does have a crossover because I work with some brands that are health related or mental health or mindset related. So I'll bring in some of like my coaching work and tools and just things that turn into content for them too. So like there is a little bit of crossover. And I think for me what I found when I was trying to get into it, it was almost like there was so much information that you just don't know like what to do, where to start, what is actually true, what works. It was just like almost for me a lot. So like I pushed it off for a long time because it was just like so overwhelming that I just like went the other way. And then, as with everything, like I kind of said this with the health thing too, you just have to start doing things. You have to just start making a plan for yourself and trying it out, and you find what works and you find things that don't. And that is exactly what I did. And then I was able to just get to the point where I was like, okay, this is all working. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to double down on this. And it kind of got me to where I am now, and it's been great.
Are you a professional woman in Central New York looking to connect with a community that values local talent? Unlock your career's potential with the CNY Women's Network online business directory. For just $9 a month, you can enjoy a premier listing that connects you with a community of engaged customers, recruiters, and executives eager to discover you. Getting started is easy. Simply click the link in the show notes to purchase your listing, and your profile will be live within 72 hours. And one more thing, as a valued listener of the Cultivate CNY podcast, you get 20% off your first month with us. Just use the code Cultivate20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first month with the CNY Women's Network online business directory when you use the code Cultivate20 at checkout. Don't miss out on the opportunity to grow your career and attract new opportunities. Join the CNY Women's Network directory today to be seen, connected, and hired. What does that outreach process look like?
So for me, there are a variety of ways to do it. The majority of my work is a lot of my work is inbound on different platforms that I go on. I create a profile kind of based on the type of work that I want. So I have a video, an intro video I've created. I have a bio I've created. I have like some little couple sentence kind of pitches that I use that are just copy and paste because that makes it super easy and efficient. But I work on a lot of platforms where I create that and then I get a lot of inbound work from that because I've been doing it for so long too. But on the other side of it, there are some of those platforms you actually do get to go through and look at the opportunities and the projects and the brands out there that you then pitch to as well. So it's kind of a mix. I have done a little bit of the making your wish list of brands and reaching out that way. So that's also another way to do it. For me, it takes a little bit more time to find the right person and of course, like the right messaging and all of that. So that's an excellent thing. I feel like when you're starting off to like add in here and there, but if you're trying to really scale it up and like make money ASAP, the platforms are a great way to like dive in. And then I feel like adding in those other kind of your wish list and the brands you really want to work with is kind of something that's great to add in a little bit later on when you have the experience. You have a really good portfolio. You know what you want to charge as far as rates and all of that, and you're not so new to it.
What do you mean by these platforms? Are you specifically talking about social media platforms?
So there are three main platforms that I use for it, and then I also do use social media too. So and might sound a little weird, but Facebook's actually really good for it. There are some groups specifically that brands go into, and they post projects they're looking for, and you can just decide if you want them or not. Facebook, a lot of people get work off Twitter. I think I've gotten like two projects off of Twitter. Instagram, I have actually gotten a few, and they come through. Some of them come through my health coaching page, which is always so interesting to me because people will be messaging me about a project that's totally unrelated to health, but it's like coming through my messenger on my health page because they see I've created so much content there. But also then there are other platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, Backstage is one of them. I think it's Brands Meet Creators. I think That's what it's called. There's so many with, like, similar names. Brands meet creators. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. You go on, like I said, you make your profile, your portfolio, and then it's kind of a mix between people reaching out to you and you approaching them, just depending on the platform and what you decide to do. So, I feel like when you do all of those things, especially in the beginning, and you kinda get into groove of what works for you, that's what helps you build it up even quicker versus, just making a list and reaching out. I think both of those approaches can be really helpful.
When it comes to actually forming this agreement or partnership with a brand, what are some of the things that you kinda learned along the way that you, like, could go back to yourself in the beginning of all this and said, "Make sure you do this, don't forget about that." I'm sure there's a lot of little
So many
nuances.
things, so many things. One for sure, it's funny because I think of, like, you wanna do this in relationships too, like, look for the red flags. Like, when there are glaring red flags, don't keep going. And, like, so many times in communications with clients, they're there in the beginning. It's like maybe their communication is just, like, really rough, or, like, they're not getting back to you, or maybe they're asking you for something and they're changing their mind, or they're trying to, like, charge, have you charged way less than your rates? And, like, it's like, duh, the whole time you're like, "I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this," and you do it. So I think that is, like, such something I would always recommend to people, and now I have a course that, like, teaches people to do this, and, like, that's something that's in there too, because look for those red flags and follow your intuition on it. Do not take the job. It's never worth it, and they're usually gonna ask for a million revisions, possibly not even leave you a great review, which is so big when it comes to content creation because that's where we all know anytime we buy anything, we're looking at reviews. So reputation reviews are everything, so you don't wanna mess that up for, one project that you could just not take and you could take another one. So I think that's one piece. The other thing, I think even with a kind of industry like this, like customer service or client experience, just use those terms because everybody understands what they mean, is even so important with this, even though you wouldn't think it may be. So, like, just having really clear communication when you're getting back to people quickly, because there are lots of creators out there. There's lots of anything that any of us do. There are probably many other businesses like yours out there. How can you provide the best, like, overall experience, even with something like content creation or coaching or whatever it is you do? That's something that I know that I have gotten projects and work that I probably wouldn't have otherwise because I get back to people very quickly. My communication is very clear. I ask the right questions so I don't have to go back and ask as I'm working on the project. I always hit my deadlines. So I think that is something that in any business is super important, but even in a business like this. So
If you're, like, new in the UGC space and you wanna start getting more into this, how do you maybe appear not as new? Like, what are the right questions to be asking?
questions are important, but I think even more than that is getting yourself a portfolio. And you can literally get a portfolio with anything in your house. Anything in your house. Just look up some UGC style videos and create the same thing with products that you have. You don't have to have clients to create a really, really amazing portfolio. And that is exactly what I did. I went around my house and I obviously had some videos from the past, and I created them. And then you have a portfolio that looks like you have a really solid body of work. Nobody knows if you were paid or not. It doesn't really matter. They're videos you created. So that's what I would say. That's already going to set you apart is if you have a really solid, clean, well lit portfolio, as well as, again, your communication too. Like, are you speaking? Are you professional, and are you getting back to people quickly? In addition to, there's something else I just thought of. Oh, I one thing that's been so helpful for me is I have just a really simple, short intro video, but it has a clean background, good lighting. It talks a little bit about me, my various background, the value I'm going to bring if I create, content for a brand. And so many times I have people message me, and that's what all they're talking about. They say, "We loved your video. We loved your energy. We love this. We love that." So I think that already it shows people what you're going to be delivering, right? Because you're doing video and you're going to be talking in front of a camera, possibly, or voiceover, whatever it is. But you're showing that with, your intro video, your short little bio you create, all of that. So I think that makes you look less new because you have all of those things. It's not like, oh, UGC video, let me think about it. Someone messages you, oh, let me think about it, and then you have nothing. Like you can prepare yourself to be ready for those questions. Then no one would ever know that you just started taking videos last week, but you have 20 really great ones. They don't care because you can still give them the what they're looking for.
Yeah, and especially, like, I love that you said just grab something in your house, like, make a video or a review or whatever, like, with something that you use every day that you can definitely speak to very well, because that's what they're really looking for.
Exactly. Always put yourself in the headspace or the mindset of the business owner. What do they want? What do they need? If they're using it for an ad, what do they need it to look like and say? Then you also have yourself as the customer. What would you click on? So like you can think of all those things and put together a really great video that then you could even send to the business once you make it, and they may or may not use it and pay you for it. So it's like that's the other piece. You create your portfolio with all this awesome stuff, and then you can send it to your favorite brands.
Mhm.
And that is a way to get work
To
too.
pitch, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
created this for you. I'd love to create 5 more. Can we have a conversation about it? And I have absolutely done that. So that's another way to do it too is, you're having fun, you're creating your portfolio, but then you reach out as well. So
That's what I've been trying to do at least for this podcast and just thinking about brand sponsorships for CNY Women's Network. I'm like, what is something that we already use to operate the business, right? And or what am I using personally from like a personal brand standpoint? What do I use every day that I could easily speak to and share people about? What is something that you're already telling people about and referring people
100%.
to?
That's exactly it because then it's going to come off so passionate, so sincere and authentic. And it's not like, oh, yeah, you should buy these flowers. They're really pink. Like, no one wants that, especially in like the world of social media today. Like, everybody is looking for like real, sincere, genuine, authentic. So, yeah, 100%. If it's something you love already, you're going to have no problem telling people to go and buy it.
What do people use to create a portfolio? What does that process look like? I know people talk about media kits and all the things like that. Like, are you using Canva?
If someone's just starting out is keep it as basic and simple as possible. You do not need to go crazy because I will say for the first 6 months I was doing this work, I literally used Google Drive. I uploaded all the videos I created into Google Drive
Oh,
and I sent
nice.
people a Google Drive link and never had any issues with it. People booked continuously using a Google Drive link. It's not beautiful. It's just videos in a folder, but keep it super simple and just do the thing before you overthink the thing and then don't ever do the thing. So that's like the first. But then Canva's great too. Once you have all your videos in a place, there are millions of templates, and then you just literally plug them into the template. You can put your intro video on like the first slide. There's a million other ones or templates out there that you can use. You can add in, your bio there. You can do both. But honestly, I've tested it out sending my Canva profile or portfolio link and my Google, and I actually feel like I get better response with the Google. So there are a million ways you could do it. You could create a website if you wanted to. And then if you're even really good at SEO, this is, another thing I've considered. Definitely not something I love, but if you're really good at SEO or any of that, you could create a website and you could build it up to the point where you're having brands just directly reach out to your website if that's a skill set of yours. So there are a million ways you can do this. But to answer your question, keep it super simple. If you're just starting out, get all of your really good work in one place. That is all people want to see. They're not hiring you to be a web designer. They're hiring you to create really good content, really good videos, and just get it somewhere they can see it really neatly, cleanly, and they don't have to do a lot of work.
And when it comes to pitching, from an actual like language standpoint, and even like the structure of the pitch, do you have any advice around that? What have you seen most success with?
So I think the best thing is again to put yourself in the mindset of the business owner and get to the point as quickly as possible. Hey, I maybe if you're on their social, take a look at their socials first. And if you're thinking you're going to create organic content for them or you want to create an ad for them, look and see what they have running and speak directly to something that is going to matter to them. That's going to show them that you can provide value. So maybe it's I saw you have three ads running, and this would be like for a brand you really want to work with that's going to be a bigger deal. You wouldn't do this for like a small project probably, but I see you have 3 ads running. I think it could work really well with, this type of look or this type of approach. Here's my portfolio. I would love to create some content for you, something like that. To the point, how you're going to show them value right away and then, call to action. I'd love to set up a meeting or, if you'd like to see my rates, let me know or something like that. So I think that works really well, but you also want to try and make sure you're finding the right person. So, I mean, you can reach out on social media to start off, but if you can go to LinkedIn and you can find the person that may handle, brand partnerships or influencer outreach or whatever it is, that's going to be your best bet. Sometimes that's a little bit harder to do. So whatever you can find is great.
You're kind of like a media company and like a PR company all in one,
Yeah. Yeah,
basically.
you're and videographer, photographer, like not like of course on like the production quality level, but really you're doing a lot of things. I like to say when people don't understand what UGC is, that you're almost like a modern day. like actor that people used to use for commercials because they used to hire actors and a full production studio and all of that, and you're kind of doing it all in one. Like you're delivering them all of these things that someone used to hire a professional actor for. And we're sometimes now they're hiring people who are just filming in their living room because they want the look to be someone sitting on their couch in their living room or in their car. There are so many videos that they're looking for someone filming in their car with their iPhone selfie style because they want it to look really natural, and that is what they're looking for. So, yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Now, are there any tools that you think have made your business run a little bit more efficiently? Or in terms of the actual operations behind being a UGC creator, is there any specific tools or software that you absolutely love to use?
Nothing, I keep it really simple. I really do. I mean CapCut, it's very basic. A lot of us use it for ourselves anyways, but that's really the main one that I've used. I think that's really it. I've played around with a few others, but none that have really stuck because I try to be really good with my time, like how much time I'm working on each product or project, because obviously when you're doing the type of work I'm doing right now, eventually you probably want to figure out a way to scale it up or maybe add in some other additional sources of passive income. But really, like your hour like that is your money. You only have so many hours in a week, so I try to be very careful with my time and as efficient as possible and not add in a lot of complication. That's what I'm trying to say. So I keep it really simple. CapCut's are really the only main tool that I use that I can think of right now. Other than that, it's really I keep it basic and simple.
And when it comes to actually like building a business out of this, how have you approached that monetization strategy? Did you basically maybe look at the market and see what other people were charging and then decide how many hours do I want to do this and how much do I want to make from it?
Exactly that. And then also kind of sometimes just picking prices and offering them and seeing what happens.
And just being intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know
It's
what
truly a
though?
mix.
It's like you're the creator, you call the shots,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people that aren't versed in this world of brand sponsorships and in the creator economy, they don't realize that things are up for negotiation. Things are flexible. You can always add or take away a service and change the price and do things like that. But just kind of getting the conversation started, I think, might be the most daunting part. Would you say?
It is, also in the beginning for sure too, like, figuring out what you do wanna offer because then people say no and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna be able to do this," and that kinda goes back to, like, the limiting belief thing we were talking about before. But it's like you just have to you end up learning to be okay with that. Goes back to what we talked about feeling feelings, like, "Okay, I feel a little bit of rejection right now," like, "But it's okay. I can breathe through this and I'm fine, and I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna send another message." So I think, yes, the conversation and the fear of like rejection or people not answering you is going to happen a million times and just being okay with it. And then you just move on to the next. And then you know what? In a month later, they may come back and reach out to you. You just never know.
That's a really good point, though, especially just like the timing thing. You might not have been rejected. It just might not be the right time.
Yeah, no for right now, maybe. Or, who knows? And then maybe it just isn't going to work out. But then you'll find another project that will be even better. And that's, of course, relates to anything in life too.
What about forms of passive income? I know you just mentioned that briefly, but what have you seen from creators to kind of start scaling and creating more passive income for
Yeah,
themselves?
so I know a lot of creators, and I do a little bit of this. Like affiliate is great, and you can use any social platform for that. A lot of people do it on TikTok. There's Shop now, so you can do it there. But also even with YouTube or Instagram, any social media platform that you're really well versed on and you love to do, blogging, anything. So basically, you're finding again, like we were talking about, brands or products or services that you love and you use, and then you're creating your content around there, and you're adding in their links and you're making income that way. So depending on who you work with, it's there. Sometimes you go on a website, you apply for a program. Sometimes you just again reach out and ask if they offer that. That's another great source of passive because you create your videos, they're living forever on YouTube or wherever it is, and money can comes in when you're not thinking about it. It's passive active because any passive income at some point you have to be active to get it. You create the video, you write the blog post, but in the long term, you don't have to do anything with it. It's out there it's living. The other thing is, of course, you can create your own products and services, whether it's, consulting or coaching, or, you're creating a product around something you do or you love, whether it's an ebook or a course. Courses are another big one that a lot of people do. Like I said, I just created one around just helping people become a paid UGC creator. So yeah, those are all other great ways that you create something once and then it lives out there and you can, make that additional revenue that just adds to your business. And I also think people have to think about, like, what skills do you have? What experience do you have that other people would find valuable and you can help them? And then you can find a million other ways to create passive income for yourself or active income, whatever it is, using that. Because we all have our own unique skill set, our own unique background knowledge, all of the things. And that's kind of how I got to where I am now is I merged them all together. And so many times, like, I'm talking to people and they don't even realize what they have that someone else would hugely benefit from. So that's another way to turn those things that you think, "Oh, I did that 10 years ago," or, "Oh, that's so easy for me." How can you turn that into, an additional source of income or revenue for you? Guarantee there's a way that you could.
You do a lot of business coaching and health coaching, but I feel like you could even be like almost like an agent of some sort for like UGC creators. Just to even be like that guiding source of helping people identify what they're good at and what they could be creating content about, or what would make the most sense for their lifestyle too,
Yeah.
because it really, especially when it comes to those affiliate partnerships, it's not like you're going to create the content once, get paid for it and deliver it to the brand. It's like if you wanna make more money, you're gonna have to be posting about that periodically and consistently, and, like, really choosing the right partnerships that make the most sense for your day-to-day life. Like, what could you be creating content about consistently? What do you use consistently?
Just like we were talking about before, it's a learning process. Like, you're gonna make a bunch of videos that do nothing, but a lot of us are making a bunch of videos that do nothing anyways, right?
Yeah,
Like, we're
for
just
free.
throwing videos up there for ourselves and, like, just for fun, so you might as well do it, and there's a potential for income.
Off the top of your head, what are some of the favorite, projects you've done or brands you've worked with?
I worked for an app that does mental health, mindset, meditation, kind of all rolled in one, and got to help them with kind of some more strategic consulting on the marketing side too. Like, they just wanted new input, new ideas, so I got to help with that as well as creating videos. So I worked for them. I mean, I say part time for a little while, but it was on a contract basis, similar to how you would do, any type of project. And that was fun because like I said, I got to bring in my kind of coaching world, the life coaching stuff, the mindset stuff, and help them with some specific needs they had for like marketing their app. So that was really cool. I've had a few brands that are in like the health food space, like the superfood space. So I've got to do like some recipes and, do videos and lives like making like superfood latte drinks and things like that. And that's the stuff I love anyways. So that was just really fun and a cool project to work on. And some of them, it's when a larger brand reaches out to you, you're like, oh, this is just really, really neat, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, those have been a few, but really they're all fun.
If someone's listening to this and they've been dying to get into the creator space and start doing some UGC work, can they work with you? Are you able to consult with people and help guide them?
Yes, I can, absolutely. I mean, I can help people one-on-one, which I have done that. The course that I created, it is really meant to walk you through the process of it, and it'll kinda show you from A to Z, and then even at the end, I've talked a little bit about, like, additional income streams and ways that you can make more money in addition to that. So that's really a great place to start, and then if they want, like, really, more one-on-one support, there's a way for them to get that too through that, so
I'm definitely gonna check out that course, or I might just make you spend the day with me. I'm sure that's much more expensive, but hey, it'll be worth it once I start making some cash, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like, for the course, I mean, literally, like, you can make that back in an hour, like, it's very
Yeah.
affordable, it's really just because I know it helps people, so it's 100%, yeah, worth it.
Like I said earlier in the episode, the influencer economy is so lucrative right now. So many kinds of brands. It's not just, CPG brands anymore. It's like there's major corporate brands that are starting to really invest a lot of dollars into influencer spending. So if you're looking to make some extra cash
Yeah,
and you're a good consumer, it's kind of like a no-brainer, I feel like.
and it's fun, and I mean, probably the top thing I love about it is, like, the flexibility around it. I mean, you can do a lot of the projects anywhere, like a lot of them, not all. But I mean, I've done them on vacation. I've done them with my daughter home from school. Like you can make it work. I way prefer and love when I am on my own in my own space and my own time and it's quiet and everything. But like if you are on vacation or you and you want to do one, not that you should work on vacation always, but or you have a situation where people are around you, there are ways to make it work. And that's the really cool thing. There's not many jobs that you can do in like any location. So that's another really big benefit of it.
Working on your own terms. I think that's what everyone's looking for right now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So you are definitely doing kind of really leaning into your UGC career right now. Is there, anything you're working towards specifically outside of the course that you just launched?
That's really the main thing, and then I still really love to pump out content for my health and life coaching, and I do, like, some affiliate work there, so that's still beneficial for me in the business sense. I do still do some, here and there coaching, on that side too, but no, I think all of that together is really, like, that's my focus right now, so yeah,
You're
I
really
think that's it.
just like, creating your own career, just
Yeah,
doing the things you
yes,
love.
yes, I love it. I love it so much, yeah, and it just shows that we can do that, which is so awesome. Like, I keep saying, like, I have an 8-year-old, and, like, when I talk to her about the things that she could do, it's just so different than how we were taught when we were younger, like, "Oh, well, doctor, teacher, and those things are great too," but, like, that's not the only option. You can literally create any career you want if you're willing to put in the work, be patient, and do all the things we talked about earlier, so, yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. I always love sitting down with you. You're just like nothing but positive vibes always, which I really appreciate.
I try. Not always, but
You know what? There's so many other women in central New York that are doing amazing things like you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Elena's actually a member of the collective.
I am. It's
Love
amazing.
that. She really adds, she adds so much to the group. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today and for your continued support.
Yes,
Seriously.
of course. It's been so much fun. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cultivate CNY. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you left us a review and make sure you're subscribed to the show. Speaking of the show, if you know anyone or if you are interested in being our next guest on Cultivate CNY, be sure to submit us an application. You can just click the link in the show notes. And if you're a business owner that's interested in getting in front of our audience, you can go ahead and email us at podcast@cnywomensnetwork.com to learn more about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. All right, that's it for now. I'll catch you guys next Monday.